So, the topic of our talk today is dealing with human imperfection. So, how many of us here find that difficult to deal with? To deal with human imperfection? How many of us? All of us, right? What is it about human imperfection that really troubles us? What I mean by human imperfection, I see a person who doesn't behave the way in my mind it's supposed to be. Why does it bother me so much? Because I have an expectation, right? I have an expectation that the person should behave a certain way. And I have that expectation because the person is very real for me, right? Like I am convinced that this person who's saying mean things to me maybe has a particular free will of his own, is using that free will to purposely harm me, etc. So if I am sitting and there's a dog next to me, and somebody throws a stone at the dog and the dog starts barking at me, if I didn't see that the dog was hit by a stone, I will think the dog is angry at me. I will think that the dog has some angst against me. But I have missed the fact that the dog was conditioned to bark because of the stone that hit him. Now, every human being who upsets me is like that dog who's barking because there's an invisible stone that has hit the dog. And what is that invisible stone? The person's past conditioning, right? Every person is a product of their conditioning. So, we don't know in what way the conditioning is the stone hitting the person at that moment when they behave like that to us, right? And then in a way, every human interaction with us, am I loud enough? Every human interaction with us is really an interaction with a conditioned pattern, because there are very few human beings who are conscious enough who don't act out of conditioning. Most of our reactions, they are coming from our past conditioning, right? So I'll quickly recap the story of the empty boat. There was once a monk who was meditating in a boat because he loved that, and another boat kept coming and hitting his boat, and he bore it till at one point he turned around and yelled, "Can't you see I'm trying to meditate? Why do you keep annoying me?" And then he saw there was nobody in the boat. The boat had just lost its anchor, and it was the water and the wind which was moving the boat to hit against his boat. So every person who annoys me in that sense is an empty boat, where in the metaphor, the water and wind which is making the boat hit me is the past conditioning of that person. So very few of us are conscious enough to be bigger than our nature, are we? Think about it. There are so many times you get triggered and you know you don't want to get triggered, but the winds and waters of your nature are too strong. They push you to say things and so if that's the case with me, that's the case with the person who's triggering me also, right? He's not conscious enough to be bigger than his nature. He's not conscious enough to not bark when that stone hits him. So how can I really blame that person? Our problem is we are blaming people because they are very real in our mind, right? So another metaphor, for example, if I am a child who's getting hassled by the curtain fluttering and thinking there's a ghost there, the more I'm convinced there's a ghost, the more I'll react. But if I come and see that oh, there's a wind coming from there which is making the curtain flutter, then I won't, the ghost dissolves for me, right? So every person is actually not there. It's just a conditioning, it's just a movement of nature. But we take that person so seriously that we get triggered by the person. Any questions? You know? Okay, so in order to not get triggered by human beings, we need to understand little bit, even intellectually, what a human being is. Just the way you need to intellectually understand the mechanism of the fluttering of the curtain, right?